The station called Obsidian Gate floated in the darkness between star systems. It was neutral ground where humans and aliens could meet without starting wars. Tonight, the main hall glowed with strange lights from 100 different worlds. Creatures with too many arms talked to beings made of living crystal. In the center of it all stood Park Ji-woo, wearing a dress that cost more than most people earned in a year. Kang Min-ho watched her from 10 steps away. His job was simple: keep her alive. Keep her safe. Nothing else mattered. He had been a soldier once, fighting in Earth's last war before humanity reached the stars. Now he wore an expensive suit instead of armor, but his eyes never stopped moving. Every exit, every face, every hand that moved too quickly. He saw it all. Ji-woo laughed at something an alien diplomat said. The creature had blue skin and 4 eyes. Min-ho did not trust it. He did not trust anyone here. Humans were new to galactic society. Many aliens saw them as primitives who got lucky with faster-than-light travel. Some aliens wanted to keep humans weak. Some wanted to destroy them before they became strong. The Tajin Corporation sent Ji-woo here to make trade deals. Her father built the company from nothing, and now it spread across a dozen star systems. When he died, Ji-woo would control it all. That made her valuable. That made her a target. Min-ho moved closer as a group of tall, gray-skinned aliens approached. They called themselves Draxians. They smiled with too many teeth. Their hands stayed hidden in their long robes. Something felt wrong. Min-ho's training took over. He stepped between Ji-woo and the Draxians. His hand moved toward the weapon hidden under his jacket. Then the world exploded in light and heat. Plasma bolts cut through the air. The alien bodyguards standing near Ji-woo died instantly. Their bodies fell in pieces. Screaming filled the hall as guests ran in every direction. The Draxians threw off their robes. They carried weapons that glowed with deadly energy. Min-ho did not think. He grabbed Ji-woo and threw her behind a stone pillar. A plasma bolt hit him in the shoulder. The pain was worse than anything he had ever felt. His skin burned. His muscle cooked. But he stayed standing. A human could take damage that would kill most aliens. Evolution made humans tough. Life on Earth was hard. Humans learned to fight through pain, to keep moving when their bodies screamed to stop. Min-ho pulled his weapon and fired 3 times. One Draxian fell. The others scattered, looking for cover. They were not expecting resistance. They thought killing a human would be easy. They were wrong. Ji-woo stared at him with wide eyes. Blood ran down his arm, but Min-ho smiled. "Stay down," he said. His voice was calm. Like this happened every day. 2 more Draxians came from the left. Min-ho dropped to one knee and fired. His shots were perfect. Years of training made his hands steady even with a ruined shoulder. Both aliens fell. The last 3 Draxians realized their mistake. They tried to run. Min-ho chased them through the panicking crowd. His shoulder screamed with every step, but he ignored it. They wanted to kill Ji-woo. That meant they had to die. He caught the first one near the exit. They fought hand to hand. The Draxian was stronger, but Min-ho was meaner. He used his weight and his rage. When the alien's guard dropped, Min-ho broke its neck. The other 2 split up. Smart. Min-ho picked the one heading toward where Ji-woo hid. He ran faster than he should have been able to with his injury. Adrenaline and pure stubbornness pushed him forward. The Draxian heard him coming and turned to fire. Min-ho dove low. The plasma bolt missed by inches. He felt the heat pass over his head. Then he was on the alien, his hands finding its throat. They went down together in a tangle of limbs. The fight was brutal and quick. Min-ho's hands were slippery with his own blood, but he held on. The Draxian struggled. Its forearms tried to break his grip. Min-ho squeezed harder. He thought about Ji-woo. He thought about his duty. He squeezed until the Draxian stopped moving. When he stood up, the last assassin was already dead. Station security had finally arrived and shot it down. The hall was filled with smoke and bodies. Alien blood mixed with human blood on the expensive floor. Min-ho walked back to Ji-woo. His vision was getting blurry. His shoulder did not hurt anymore, which meant shock was setting in. Bad sign. She ran to him. Her hands touched his face, his chest, checking for wounds. "You are dying," she said. Tears ran down her face. "You stupid, brave idiot. Why did you do that?" "My job," Min-ho said. His voice sounded far away, even to himself. The world was spinning. He tried to stay focused on her face. She was beautiful, he realized. He had been too professional to notice before. Had to keep you safe. You took the shot for me, Jiwoo said. She was crying harder now. You threw yourself in front of it. No one does that. No one. Minho wanted to tell her that humans did things like that all the time. Love and loyalty made them do stupid things. But the darkness was closing in. His knees buckled. Jiwoo caught him as he fell. She was stronger than she looked. She lowered him gently to the ground. Her hands pressed against his wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Stay with me, she said. Please stay with me. Medical teams rushed over. Aliens with scanners and equipment Minho did not recognize. They spoke in languages he did not understand. Jiwoo held his hand the whole time. You will live, one of the doctors said. Humans are remarkably durable, but you need surgery. Now. As they lifted him onto a floating stretcher, Minho saw the news drones recording everything. The whole galaxy would see this. A human bodyguard defeating 5 trained assassins. Taking a hit that should have killed him. Protecting his charge with his life. He saw Jiwoo's face one more time before the doctors put him under. She was still crying, but she was alive. That was all that mattered. The last thing he heard was someone saying that the video was already going viral across 1,000 worlds. Everyone wanted to know about the human who faced death and won. Minho smiled as the darkness took him. He had done his job. Everything else could wait. 3 weeks passed in the medical bay. Minho spent most of that time unconscious while alien technology rebuilt his shoulder. When he finally woke up, Jiwoo was sitting beside his bed. She looked tired. The bags under her eyes said she had not been sleeping well. You look terrible, Minho said. His voice was rough from not being used. Jiwoo laughed and cried at the same time. She grabbed his hand. You have been asleep for 21 days and that is the first thing you say to me? Just being honest. Minho tried to sit up. His shoulder felt strange, but it worked. The alien doctors were good at their job. How bad was it? You almost died 3 times during surgery, Jiwoo said. Her grip on his hand tightened. The doctors said most species would not have survived the initial shot. Your human biology kept you alive long enough to get help. Minho nodded. Humans were tough. Everyone knew that now. Did you complete the trade negotiations? Jiwoo stared at him. You nearly die and you ask about business? It is why we came here. She shook her head but smiled. Yes, the negotiations went well. Better than expected, actually. Everyone wants to work with the company whose bodyguard became a galactic hero. That made Minho uncomfortable. He was not a hero. He was just doing his job. I saw news drones. How bad is it? You are famous, Jiwoo said. The video has been watched billions of times. Humans defeating trained Draxian assassins does not happen. Most species think humans are weak. You proved them wrong. A nurse came in then. She was a small alien with green skin and gentle hands. She checked Minho's vital signs and seemed pleased. You heal fast, she said. Very unusual. Most impressive. After she left, Jiwoo grew serious. We received a message. From Queen Asara of the Lumineth Empire. Minho knew about the Lumineth. Everyone did. They controlled 40 star systems. Their technology was centuries ahead of human science. Their queen had ruled for over 300 years. They were powerful and proud and did not usually notice younger species like humans. What does she want? You, Jiwoo said quietly. She wants to meet you. She sent an official envoy with an invitation to her palace world. Why would a queen care about a bodyguard? Jiwoo pulled out a small tablet and showed him a message. The words were in perfect English. Queen Azara had watched the video. She was impressed by his courage and skill. She wanted to offer him a position in her royal guard. The first alien to ever receive such an honor. The pay would be extraordinary. The prestige beyond measure. Minho read it twice. Then he handed the tablet back. Tell her I am honored, but I must decline. Jiwoo's eyes went wide. You are refusing a queen? I have a contract with you. 2 more years. My honor requires me to complete it. I can release you from the contract, Jiwoo said quickly. Too quickly. Like she had been thinking about this. This is an amazing opportunity. You could have wealth and status beyond anything on Earth. Minho looked at her carefully. Her voice said one thing, but her eyes said another. She did not want him to go. He realized he did not want to go either. My word means something, he said. I promise to protect you for 3 years. Only 1 year has passed. I will finish what I started. Jiwoo looked like she wanted to argue. Then she just nodded. Her eyes were wet again. You are the most stubborn man I have ever met. One of my better qualities. The envoy from Queen Asara arrived the next day. He was Lumineth, tall and beautiful in a way that seemed almost unreal. His skin had a faint glow. His movements were perfectly graceful. He made humans look clumsy by comparison. His name was something Minho could not pronounce. He settled for calling him ambassador. The Lumineth did not seem to mind. They met in Jiwoo's quarters on the station. The ambassador explained that the queen rarely took interest in other species. The Lumineth were ancient and considered themselves above galactic politics. But Minho's actions showed qualities they valued: loyalty, courage, sacrifice. The queen wishes to meet you regardless of your decision, the ambassador said. She does not often extend invitations. It would be unwise to refuse. Minho considered this. Refusing a queen twice might cause problems. Problems for him, but also problems for Jiwoo and her company. Politics were complicated out here among the stars. I will meet with her, Minho said, but my answer will not change. I have obligations, the ambassador smiled. It looked practiced, like he had learned how to smile from watching others. The queen suspected you would say this. She finds your loyalty fascinating. Very few species value honor over advancement. After the ambassador left, Jiwoo sat down heavily on her couch. This is really happening. You are going to meet the most powerful woman in this sector of space. Seems that way. Are you nervous? Minho thought about it. He had fought in wars. He had killed men and aliens who tried to kill him. He had faced death more times than he could count. But the idea of meeting a queen made his stomach tight. Yes, he admitted. Jiwoo laughed. Good, that means you are smart. She grew quiet for a moment. What if she offers you more than just a position? What if she makes you an offer you cannot refuse? Then I will still refuse it. Why? Jiwoo's voice was soft, almost vulnerable. Why stay with me when you could have so much more? Minho met her eyes. He wanted to say that protecting her felt right, that when he saw her in danger, something in him had roared to life, that even thinking about leaving her made him feel empty. But those were not professional thoughts. Those were dangerous thoughts because I gave you my word, he said instead. That has to mean something. Jiwoo looked away. Her expression was complicated, sad and happy at the same time. You really are stubborn. 2 days later, they boarded a Lumineth ship bound for the Palace world. The ship was beautiful. Everything the Lumineth made was beautiful. It made human technology look like children's toys. Minho spent the journey learning what he could about Lumineth culture. They valued grace, intelligence, and above all, honor. Their society was old when humans were still living in caves. They had seen empires rise and fall. They did not impress easily. Jiwoo spent the journey watching him. She thought he did not notice, but he always noticed. Sometimes their eyes would meet and she would look away quickly. Something was growing between them. Something neither of them could acknowledge. The palace world appeared on the viewing screens. It was beautiful beyond words. White towers reached toward purple skies. Gardens spread across entire continents. Technology and nature blended perfectly. This is Lumina Prime, the ship's captain said. The jewel of the Lumineth Empire. You are honored to see it, Minho believed him. As the ship descended, he wondered what the queen wanted. And more importantly, he wondered if his resolve would be strong enough to refuse her. Beside him, Jiwoo grabbed his hand. She did not let go until they landed. The meeting with Queen Asara lasted 2 hours. She was everything the stories claimed and more. Beautiful beyond description. Her eyes held centuries of wisdom. When she spoke, even the air seemed to listen. She asked Minho about Earth, about human culture, about what drove him to throw himself in front of death for someone he barely knew. He answered honestly. Honesty was all he had to offer a queen. When he refused her offer of a position in the royal guard, she did not seem surprised. She studied him like a puzzle she wanted to solve. Then she smiled. Your loyalty does you credit, she said. Few beings in this galaxy would refuse what I offer. You are either very wise or very foolish. Probably foolish, Minho admitted. The queen laughed. It sounded like music. I like you, Kang Minho. Perhaps when your contract ends, you will reconsider. My offer will remain open. They left Lumina Prime the next day. Jiwoo seemed relieved. During the journey back to human space, she talked more freely. About her childhood. About the pressure of being an heir. About how lonely it was at the top. Minho listened. Listening was something he was good at. 3 days into their journey, the attack started again. The first sign was when their escort ships exploded without warning. One moment they were traveling peacefully. The next moment, space filled with debris and bodies. Their pilot took evasive action. Warning alarms screamed through the ship. Jiwoo grabbed onto her seat as the vessel spun wildly. "Korthax hunters," the pilot shouted. "We need to jump to faster than light now." But the engines were damaged. They could not jump. They could only run. The Korthax were legendary. They hunted targets across the galaxy for the right price. They never failed. And they never gave up. Minho moved to the weapon station. The ship had defensive guns, but they were meant for pirates, not professional hunters. Still, he could make them pay for every inch. The Korthax ship was faster and more heavily armed. It fired precision shots that disabled their engines completely. Then it matched their speed and began cutting through the hull. "They want us alive," Minho said. "That gives us an advantage." "How is that an advantage?" Jiwoo demanded. She had pulled out a small pistol from somewhere. "Good." She knew how to fight. "Because I do not need you alive. I just need you dead." The Korthax breached the hull. 3 of them entered the ship. They wore armor that made them look like nightmares. Multiple arms. Weapons built into their bodies. Eyes that glowed red in the darkness. Minho opened fire immediately. His shots bounced off their armor. They advanced slowly, confident in their superiority. Humans did not fight fair. That was their secret. Minho grabbed a fire extinguisher and threw it at the lead Korthax. Then he shot it. The explosion was not big, but it filled the corridor with foam and smoke. The Korthax stumbled, momentarily blinded. Minho charged. He carried a blade meant for cutting safety harnesses. It would not pierce their armor, but he aimed for the joints, the weak points, the places where armor plates met. The Korthax was stronger, but Minho was desperate. He drove the blade into the creature's neck joint. Hot blood sprayed out. The hunter fell. The other 2 opened fire. Minho dove behind a bulkhead. Plasma bolts melted metal where he had been standing. Jiwoo fired from her position, her shots just as useless as his, but she was a distraction. While the Korthax focused on her, Minho flanked them. He used every dirty trick he knew. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. They chased prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They used tools and tactics and lies. He stabbed the second Korthax from behind. It roared and tried to grab him, but he was already moving. Roll, strike, move, never stay still, never fight directly. Hit and run. Make them angry. Make them stupid. The third Korthax was smarter. It grabbed Jiwoo and held her as a shield. "Surrender or she dies," it said in broken English. Minho stopped. His mind raced. The Korthax wanted them alive, but it would kill Jiwoo if pushed. He needed a miracle. The miracle came from Jiwoo. She jammed her pistol under the Korthax's arm and fired repeatedly into the gap in its armor. The creature howled and threw her away. Minho was on it instantly. Together they brought it down. But their ship was dying. Atmosphere vented into space. The engines were dead. They had maybe an hour before life support failed. Minho searched the Korthax ship. It was still attached to their hull. Inside he found supplies and a communication system. He sent out a distress signal on all frequencies. Then he set the ship's reactor to overload in 90 minutes. "What are you doing?" Jiwoo asked. She had a cut on her forehead and a bruise forming on her cheek. "If more hunters come, they will find wreckage and assume we died in an explosion. Buys us time. Time for what? For someone to find us." They took everything useful from both ships and suited up in emergency space gear. When the reactor went critical, they were floating a safe distance away. The explosion lit up the darkness like a small star. Now they were adrift. 2 humans in spacesuits with limited air and no way home. Jiwoo's voice came through the suit radio. "Did anyone receive your distress call?" "Do not know," Minho admitted. "But I sent it to everyone, including the Lumineth." "The Queen. She said she liked me." Maybe she meant it. They floated in silence for a while. Stars surrounded them, cold and distant. Minho could see Jiwoo through her helmet. She looked scared but trying to hide it. "Minho," she said quietly, "if we die out here, I want you to know something. We are not going to die. But if we do..." She paused. "Thank you. For everything. For protecting me. For being you. Just doing my job. It is more than that. You know it is." Minho did know. He had known for a while now. The professional distance between them had been crumbling since the first attack. Every fight, every close call, every moment they faced death together brought them closer. "When we get out of this," he said, "we should talk about that." Jiwoo laughed. It sounded brittle over the radio. Yes, when we get out of this. 6 hours later, when their air was down to 30 minutes, a fleet of ships appeared. Beautiful white vessels that could only be Lumineth. The lead ship sent a message. Kang Minho. Park Jiwoo, you are under the protection of Queen Isara. Do not resist. Relief flooded through Minho. They were saved. But the Queen's words bothered him. Protection, not rescue. Protection implied something more permanent. As Lumineth soldiers in elegant armor brought them aboard, Minho caught Jiwoo's eye. She looked worried too. They had escaped the Korthax, but now they were in the Queen's hands. Sometimes being saved was just another kind of trap. The ship's captain was a tall Lumineth woman with silver hair. The Queen has ordered you brought to Lumina Prime immediately. She is most displeased that someone attacked you after leaving her world. This is seen as an insult to her hospitality. We are grateful for the rescue, Minho said carefully, but we need to return to human space. The captain smiled. It was not a warm smile. The Queen insists, and the Queen always gets what she wants. The ship turned toward Lumina Prime. Minho and Jiwoo were passengers again, but this time it felt less like an invitation and more like a summons. The Queen had saved them. Now they owed her, and debts to queens were not easily repaid. The palace was even more impressive the second time. Towers of crystal and light stretched toward the sky. Gardens filled with flowers from 100 worlds perfumed the air. Everything was perfect. Nothing was out of place. The Lumineth did not tolerate imperfection. Minho and Jiwoo were given quarters in the East Wing. Separate rooms, but next to each other. The rooms were larger than most apartments on Earth. Servants attended to their every need. It should have felt like luxury. Instead, it felt like a beautiful prison. We are guests, Jiwoo said on their third day there. They were walking through one of the gardens under the watchful eyes of guards. But guests who cannot leave, Minho nodded. He had tested the boundaries. Politely, carefully. Every request to depart was met with gentle refusal. The Queen wished them to stay until the threat was eliminated. For their own safety, of course. She is protecting us, Minho said, but also studying us. Studying you, Jiwoo corrected. I am just an excuse to keep you here. That night, Queen Isara invited Minho to dine with her. Alone. Jiwoo tried to hide her reaction, but Minho saw the flash of worry in her eyes. Maybe something else too. Jealousy? The Queen's private dining hall was intimate. Just a small table with 2 chairs. She wore a simple dress that probably cost more than a spaceship. Her beauty was almost painful to look at. Lumineth aged slowly. She was over 300 years old but looked 25. Thank you for joining me, she said as Minho entered. Her voice was warm, welcoming, dangerous. I did not think I had a choice. Isara laughed. You always have a choice, Kang Minho. That is what makes you interesting. You choose honor when others would choose profit. You choose duty when others would choose comfort. They ate food Minho could not name but tasted amazing. The Queen asked him about Earth. Not the boring questions diplomats asked. Real questions. What did rain smell like? What did music sound like? What did it feel like to know you would die young? Young? Minho asked. Humans live barely a century. To us, that is childhood. You are born, you live, you die. All in the span of time it takes us to truly mature. She paused. Does it frighten you? Knowing how brief your existence is? Minho considered this. Maybe it makes life more valuable. We do not have centuries to waste. Every moment matters. I envy that, Isara said softly. We Lumineth have so much time that we forget to live. We plan and plot and scheme across decades. We forget the beauty of the moment. Over the next weeks, these dinners became regular. The Queen would summon Minho and they would talk. About philosophy. About war. About the nature of consciousness. She challenged his thinking. Made him defend his beliefs. Treated him like an equal rather than a curiosity. Minho found himself looking forward to these meetings. Isara was brilliant, funny. Surprisingly humble for someone so powerful. She made him feel seen in a way few people ever had. But he also saw Jiwoo less. She was always busy with something. Trade negotiations. Cultural studies. Anything to avoid being alone with her thoughts. When they did meet, she was distant. Polite but cold. You are spending a lot of time with the Queen, she said one evening. They were in one of the palace libraries. Books and data crystals from 1,000 worlds filled the shelves. She invites me. Refusing would be rude. Of course. Jiwoo turned back to her reading. She is beautiful and powerful and brilliant. Why would you refuse? Jiwoo, it is fine. You are free to do as you wish. Your contract is to protect me, not to keep me company. The words stung more than they should have. Minho wanted to tell her that every moment with the queen made him think of her. That Isara's beauty was cold compared to Jiwoo's warmth. That power and brilliance meant nothing compared to genuine connection. But he said nothing. Because what could he say? He was a bodyguard. She was an heiress. After his contract ended, she would marry someone important. Someone who could help her company. Someone who mattered. Someone who was not him. A month into their stay, Queen Isara made her intentions clear. They were in her private garden. Night had fallen, and bioluminescent flowers glowed in the darkness. She had been quiet all evening, thoughtful. I want you to stay, she said finally. Not as a guard. As a consort, Minho nearly dropped his glass. I do not understand. In Lumineth culture, the queen may take consorts, those deemed worthy to stand beside her, to share her bed and her throne. I deem you worthy, Kang Minho. I am honored, but I can give you things you cannot imagine, Isara continued. Not just wealth and power. Our technology can extend your life. You could live for centuries, experience wonders across the galaxy. You would never have to watch yourself grow old and die while the universe goes on without you. It was tempting, more than tempting. The queen was offering him immortality, a life beyond his dreams. All he had to do was say yes. What about Jiwoo? He asked. She would be returned safely to human space. Her debt to me would be considered paid. And my contract with her? Isara waved a hand dismissively. I would compensate her company. Money is no object. Minho set down his glass carefully. His hands were shaking. You are offering me everything. Yes, why? The queen stepped closer. She smelled like starlight and ancient flowers. Because you are genuine. In my 3 centuries, I have met countless beings who wanted to use me for power, who saw only my crown. You see me, you argue with me, you challenge me. That is rare, that is precious. I am bound to Jiwoo for another year. I can break that bond. I cannot. Isara studied him. Because of honor? Or because of something else? Minho met her eyes. Does it matter? It does to me. She reached out and touched his cheek. Her hand was soft and cool. You care for her. The human heir. I have watched you both. The way you look at each other when you think no one notices. My feelings are not relevant. Feelings are always relevant. Isara dropped her hand. But she is not offering you what I am offering. She will marry for politics. You know this. Her company requires it. You will protect her, and then you will be dismissed. She will marry some corporate prince and you will be nothing but a memory. Every word was true. Every word hurt. What about what you feel? Minho asked. Is this about genuine emotion or am I just an interesting toy? Isara looked surprised. Then thoughtful. Perhaps both. I am drawn to you. Your mortality fascinates me. Your honor moves me. I believe we could be happy together. But yes, part of me sees you as a puzzle, a chance to understand humanity better. Does that make the offer less genuine? I do not know, Minho admitted. But I need time to think. Take all the time you need, Isara said. But know this, the galaxy is dangerous. The attacks on you will continue. Here you are safe. Here you can be more than a bodyguard living on borrowed time. Minho left the garden with his mind spinning. He walked the palace halls for hours, trying to think, trying to feel, trying to understand what he wanted versus what he should want. He found himself outside Jiwoo's door. It was late. She was probably asleep. He should go to his own room, but the door opened. Jiwoo stood there in a sleeping robe. Her eyes were red. She had been crying, I heard, she said quietly. The servants talk. Everyone knows the queen made you an offer. Minho said nothing. Are you going to accept? Her voice broke on the last word. He wanted to tell her no. He wanted to tell her that he would stay with her forever, that nothing the queen offered could compare to being near her. Instead, he said, I do not know. Jiwoo nodded slowly. A tear ran down her cheek. I hope you choose what makes you happy. She closed the door. Minho stood in the hallway for a long time. The queen offered him everything, but everything felt empty if it meant losing Jiwoo. He was trapped between 2 impossible choices. and the clock was ticking. For 2 weeks, Minho avoided everyone. He trained in the palace gymnasium. He studied in the libraries. He walked the gardens alone. The queen did not summon him. Jiwoo did not seek him out. He was left with his thoughts, and they were terrible company. His contract with Jiwoo had 1 year remaining. After that, he had no claim on her time or her life. She would return to running her corporation. He would find another job. They would drift apart like they were always meant to. But the queen offered him centuries. A life of meaning and purpose. Why was he hesitating? Because he was in love with Jiwoo. There was no point denying it anymore. On the 15th day of his isolation, Queen Asara found him in the training hall. He was running combat drills against holographic opponents. Sweat poured down his face. His muscles screamed. He had been at it for 3 hours. "You are avoiding me," Izara said. She stood in the doorway like a vision of light. Minho stopped the simulation. "I am thinking. You are hiding." She walked into the room. "I made you an offer and now you are afraid." "Yes." His honesty seemed to surprise her. "Why?" "Because I want to say yes for the wrong reasons. Running away is not the same as moving forward," Izara smiled. "You are wiser than you look." She gestured and the room transformed. The training equipment disappeared. In its place appeared an arena. "I have a proposal. A test." "What kind of test?" "A tournament. You will fight champions from across my empire. If you win, I will grant you one request. Anything within my power to give. And if I lose, you join my royal guard permanently. You stay here. With me?" Minho wiped the sweat from his face. "Why?" "Because I want to see what you truly want. Actions reveal us better than words. Fight for your freedom or lose and accept your fate. Either way, we will have an answer." It was a trap, but it was also an opportunity. "When does this tournament start?" "Tomorrow. There will be 7 opponents over 7 days. All volunteers from my military. All experts in combat. You will fight each one in single combat. No weapons except what the arena provides. And if I am injured, medical technology will heal you between fights. But the pain will be real. The danger will be real. Champions have died in these tournaments before." Minho thought about it. 7 fights. 7 chances to win or lose. 7 days to prove what he wanted most. I accept. That night, Jiwoo came to his room. She knocked softly. When he opened the door, she looked smaller than usual. Vulnerable. "I heard about the tournament," she said. "News travels fast. What will you ask for if you win?" Minho hesitated, then decided on honesty. "To complete my contract with you. To leave here freely when the year is done." Jiwoo's eyes filled with tears. "Why? The queen can give you everything. Immortality, power, love, maybe. What can I give you that compares?" "Nothing compares," Minho said quietly. "That is the problem." She looked up at him. "I do not understand. You are not offering me anything. You are just existing. And somehow that is enough. I would rather have 1 year of being near you than 1,000 years of anything else." Jiwoo made a sound between a laugh and a sob. "You stupid man. You beautiful, stupid, wonderful man." She stepped forward and hugged him tightly. "Do not die in this tournament. Promise me." "I promise." She pulled back and looked at him. Her face was inches from his. For a moment he thought she might kiss him. For a moment he wanted her to. But she just touched his cheek and left. Minho did not sleep that night. The tournament began at dawn. The arena was ancient. Lumineth had fought here for centuries to prove their worth. Thousands of spectators filled the seats. The queen sat on a throne of crystal, watching with unreadable eyes. The first opponent was a Lumineth warrior named something Minho could not pronounce. He was tall and fast and fought with graceful precision. His weapon was a staff that crackled with energy. Minho chose a simple metal pipe. They circled each other. The Lumineth attacked first. His staff moved in beautiful arcs. Each strike was perfect form. Textbook technique. Minho fought dirty. He threw sand. He feinted injuries. He fought like a human who knew death was always one mistake away. When the Lumineth overextended on a strike, Minho swept his legs and brought the pipe down on his head. The crowd gasped. Winning was expected. Winning ugly was not. The second day brought a 4-armed alien from a high-gravity world. It was strong enough to bend steel, fast despite its bulk. It tried to overwhelm Minho with pure power. Minho used its strength against it. Every attack it made left it slightly off balance. Minho struck at joints and weak points. He made it angry. Angry opponents made mistakes. After 20 minutes, the alien collapsed from exhaustion. Minho was barely standing, but he was standing. The third opponent used poison, tiny needles that paralyzed on contact. Minho fought with his jacket wrapped around one arm as a shield. He took hits, felt his limbs going numb, but he pushed through. Humans had remarkable tolerance for toxins. Evolution on a death world had its advantages. By the fourth day, Minho could barely move. The medical technology healed his wounds, but not the exhaustion, not the accumulated damage. He fought an energy being that could phase through solid matter. It should have been impossible to defeat. Minho used the arena itself as a weapon. He lured the being into water features. Energy and water did not mix well. When it materialized to attack, he was ready. One strike, that was all he had left in him. One strike that connected perfectly. The crowd was cheering now. Even the Lumineth, who valued grace over brutality, could appreciate pure determination. Day 5 brought a psychic opponent. It attacked his mind, showed him his fears, his failures, every person he failed to save, every mistake that cost lives. Minho fell to his knees screaming. But humans had something most species did not. Stubbornness that bordered on insanity. The refusal to quit even when quitting made sense. Minho crawled forward. Inch by inch. The psychic laughed at him, called him weak. Minho reached the creature and grabbed its leg. Physical contact broke its concentration. One punch, then another. He did not stop until it stopped moving. Day 6 almost killed him. His opponent was a champion from the Royal Guard itself, a Lumineth who had trained for a century, who moved like water and struck like lightning, who was everything Minho was not. They fought for 2 hours. Minho lost count of how many times he hit the ground, how many bones cracked, how many times he should have stayed down. But every time he stood up. Because Jiwoo was watching, because his promise mattered, because humans did not know when to quit, the Lumineth champion finally stopped and bowed. You have earned this victory. Not through skill, but through will. I cannot defeat a spirit that refuses to break. The crowd erupted. Even Queen Isara stood and applauded. The 7th day was different. Minho limped into the arena expecting another fighter. Instead, he found Queen Isara waiting. What is this? He asked. Your final test, she said. Me? I cannot fight you. Why not? Afraid you will lose? Or afraid you will win? Isara moved faster than anything Minho had ever seen. She was not just a queen. She was a warrior who had ruled for 3 centuries because she was the strongest. She disarmed him in seconds, put him on the ground with casual ease, but she did not finish it. She stood over him and asked, Why do you fight? What drives you to suffer like this? Minho stood up slowly. Blood ran from his mouth. Love. For the girl? The heir? Yes. She cannot give you what I can. I know. Isara attacked again. This time Minho did not try to block. He took the hit and grabbed her. They fell together. For a moment they were face to face on the arena floor. I could make you happy, she whispered. Probably, Minho agreed. But I would always wonder what if. I would always regret not trying. Isara stood up. She offered him her hand. When he took it, she pulled him to his feet and raised his arm. Victor, she announced to the crowd. Later in her private chambers, Queen Isara asked what he wanted. To complete my contract, to leave freely when the time comes, for you to let us go. That is your request? After everything? Yes. Isara studied him one final time. Then she smiled sadly. You have taught me something, Kang Minho. You have reminded me that being powerful is not the same as being right. Go, complete your contract. Love your impossible girl. I will not stand in your way. Thank you. But know this. Her eyes were bright with unshed tears. If you change your mind, my offer stands always. Minho bowed deeply. You honor me. That night he found Jiwoo in her room. She was staring out the window at the stars. We can leave, he said. She turned. You won? I won. Jiwoo ran to him and threw her arms around his neck. She was crying and laughing at the same time. You wonderful, stubborn, impossible man. Minho held her close. For the first time in weeks, he felt like he could breathe. Tomorrow they would leave. 1 year of his contract remained. After that, who knew? But for now, this moment was enough. They left Lumina Prime the next morning with an escort fleet. 10 Lumineth warships surrounded their transport vessel. Queen Isara had insisted. She warned them that the Draxian Syndicate would not give up. They had lost too much face when Minho defeated their assassins. Pride demanded revenge. Minho stood on the bridge watching the stars. Jiwoo stood beside him. Their hands touched briefly. Neither pulled away. "What happens when your contract ends?" she asked quietly. "I do not know. I will have to marry someone. For the company. For political connections. I know. That does not bother you." Minho looked at her. Really looked at her. "It tears me apart. But I cannot ask you to choose between me and your responsibilities. That would not be fair." Jiwoo squeezed his hand. "Maybe we can find another way." Before Minho could respond, alarms screamed across the bridge. The view screen lit up with hostile contacts. Dozens of ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. "Too many ships. Draxian Syndicate fleet," the captain announced. His voice was calm, but his hands moved quickly across controls. "But they have allies. I am reading Lumineth signatures as well." "That is impossible," Jiwoo said. "The Lumineth would never work with the Syndicate." "Rogue House," Minho said grimly. He had learned about Lumineth politics during his stay. Not all houses agreed with Queen Isara's rule. Some thought she was too soft, too willing to work with lesser species. "Someone is making a move against the Queen." The enemy fleet opened fire. The escort ships responded instantly. Space filled with weapons fire and explosions. Energy beams crossed the darkness. Ships died in blossoms of flame, but there were too many enemies. The escort fleet was outnumbered 3-1. "We need to run," Minho said. "The engines are charging," the captain replied. 30 seconds to jump. 20 seconds later, a massive explosion rocked the ship. The main engines went dark. Backup systems failed. They were dead in space. "Abandon ship," the captain ordered. "Get to the escape pods." Minho grabbed Jiwoo's hand and ran. Behind them, the ship was tearing apart. Hull breaches vented atmosphere. Fires burned in zero gravity. They reached the escape pod bay just as another explosion threw them against the wall. Jiwoo hit hard. She cried out in pain. Minho checked her quickly. Broken ribs, maybe internal bleeding. She needed medical help soon. He carried her to the nearest pod. Several crew members were already inside. They launched just as the ship exploded behind them. The blast wave threw the small pod spinning through space. When the world stopped rotating, Minho checked their status. Life support was working, but the engines were damaged. They had no propulsion. The pod's emergency beacon was broadcasting, but in the middle of a battle, who would hear it? Through the small window, Minho watched the fight. The Lumineth escort was holding but barely. Enemy ships were everywhere. Some were breaking through, coming for the pods. "They want us specifically," Jiwoo said. She was pale from pain, but her mind was still sharp. "They are not here to destroy. They are here to capture. Or kill." The pod shook as something grabbed it. A tractor beam. They were being pulled toward a large enemy ship. Minho checked the pod's emergency equipment. A few pressure suits. A medical kit. A flare gun. Nothing useful against an army. The enemy ship swallowed their pod. When the bay doors closed and atmosphere returned, armed soldiers were waiting. Draxians and rogue Lumineth together. Proof of an alliance that should not exist. The pod door was torn open. Soldiers pointed weapons inside. "Out," their leader commanded. "Both of you." Minho helped Jiwoo out. She could barely stand. He kept one arm around her for support. "The human and the heir," the leader said. He was Lumineth, but his armor bore marks of a house that opposed the queen. "You have caused us significant trouble." "Good," Minho said. The leader hit him. Minho tasted blood. The soldiers laughed. They were dragged through the ship to a detention area. But as they walked, Minho memorized everything. Guard positions, weapon placements, weaknesses in the ship's design. Even captured, he was gathering intelligence. They were thrown into a cell. Just the two of them. The door sealed with a hiss. Jiwoo collapsed against the wall. Her breathing was shallow. Bad sign. Minho used the medical kit from the pod to treat her as best he could. Painkillers. Sealant for internal wounds. It was not enough, but it would keep her alive for a while. "We need to get out of here," she said through gritted teeth. "Working on it." Hours passed. Through the cell's small window, Minho could see they were traveling. Away from the battle. Toward some destination he could not identify. Then the ship shook. Weapons fire. Someone was attacking them. The lights went red. Alarm klaxons blared. The ship rocked again and again. Through the window, Minho saw flashes of energy weapons. A battle was happening outside. The cell door opened. Not from inside command. The ship's power was failing. Emergency protocols released all doors. Minho did not waste time asking why. He picked up Jiwoo and ran. The corridor was chaos. Crew running to battle stations. Some areas venting atmosphere. Fires burning in electrical panels. He found an equipment room and grabbed 2 pressure suits. Getting Jiwoo into hers with broken ribs was agony for both of them. But they managed. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Anywhere but here." They made their way toward the escape pod bay. Twice they hid from patrols. Once they were spotted, but Minho killed the guard with his bare hands before he could raise an alarm. The ship shook again. This hit was massive. Something critical had been destroyed. The vessel was dying. They reached the pod bay. Most pods were already gone. Only one remained. As they climbed inside, Minho looked out the bay door and saw their salvation. Lumineth warships. Dozens of them, led by the Queen's personal flagship. They were tearing the enemy fleet apart. Minho launched the pod. It tumbled away from the dying ship just before the main reactor exploded. The blast sent them spinning toward a nearby moon. The pod's damaged systems could not compensate. They were going to crash. "Hold on," Minho said. He wrapped himself around Jiwoo, using his body to shield her. They hit hard. Metal screamed. The pod tumbled across the moon's surface. When it finally stopped, Minho could not move. Everything hurt. His suit's integrity was compromised. He could hear air hissing out. "Minho," Jiwoo's voice in his helmet. "Minho, answer me." "Still here," he managed. "You?" "Alive." He forced himself to check their situation. They had crashed on a dead moon. No atmosphere, no water. The pod was destroyed. They had maybe 6 hours of air in their suits. 8 if they did not move much. Through the pod's broken window, he could see the battle in orbit. The Lumineth were winning, but it would take time to secure the area. Time to search for survivors. Time they might not have. Jiwoo crawled next to him. Even through the helmet, he could see she was crying. "I am sorry," she said. "This is my fault. If I was not important, they would not have come after us. Not your fault. We are going to die here. Maybe. But not without a fight." Minho activated the pod's emergency beacon. It was damaged but still functioning. Then he used the flare gun to fire shots into the sky. Bright red trails that would be visible from orbit. Every few minutes he fired another flare, marking their position, screaming into the void that they were alive. Hours passed. Their air ran low. Jiwoo had stopped talking. Saving oxygen. Minho kept firing flares even as his hands shook from exhaustion. 5 hours. 6. The warning light in his helmet went red. Less than 1 hour of air remaining. "Minho," Jiwoo whispered. "Hold my hand." He took her hand. Even through the gloves, he could feel her warmth. "I love you," she said. "I should have said it before. I love you, and I am sorry I waited so long. I love you too." They sat in the dark together, waiting for the end. Minho's vision was starting to blur. Lack of oxygen. He fired one last flare and saw something beautiful. Ships descending from orbit. Lumineth rescue vessels. Their lights cut through the darkness like hope made real. The lead ship landed nearby. Soldiers in pressure suits ran toward them. Minho tried to stay conscious. Tried to tell them Jiwoo needed help first, but the darkness was closing in. The last thing he saw was the Queen's face through his helmet. She had come herself. She was saying something. Her expression was fierce and worried and relieved all at once. Then, nothing. He woke in a medical bay. Again. This was becoming a habit. Jiwoo was in the bed next to his, awake, smiling. "You found us," she said. "Your flares worked." Team effort. Queen Asara entered the medical bay. She looked tired. Even Lumineth could be exhausted. "You are both alive," she said. "That is good. I would have been very angry if you died after I went through so much trouble to save you." "Thank you," Minho said. "The rogue house has been dealt with. The Draxian syndicate is destroyed. You are safe now." She paused. "But I think human space would be safer for you. I will escort you myself." 3 days later, they arrived at Earth. The blue planet hung in space like a jewel. Minho had not seen it in years. Home. Queen Asara stood with them in the observation deck. "This is goodbye," she said. "Again?" "Thank you for everything," Jiwoo said. Asara smiled. Take care of each other. And remember the galaxy is watching. You represent something important. Hope that different species can understand each other. She looked at Minho one last time. I still believe my offer was better, but I respect your choice. Then she was gone. Minho and Jiwoo were alone. Earth waited below. 1 year of his contract remained. After that, everything was uncertain, but they were alive. They were together. For now, that was enough. The final year of Minho's contract passed differently than the first. After everything they had survived, pretending to be just bodyguard and client felt impossible. They were partners now. Friends. Something more that neither could quite name. Jiwoo threw herself into changing her father's company. She used the connections she made with the Lumineth. She negotiated trade deals that valued fairness over pure profit. She hired humans based on merit rather than connections. The board of directors complained. She ignored them. Minho protected her from threats both physical and political, but he also advised her, supported her, made her laugh when the pressure became too much. They worked together like two parts of the same machine, but the calendar kept moving forward. The contract's end approached like a storm on the horizon. Corporate leaders and politicians sent marriage proposals. Men from powerful families who could strengthen Tajin Corporation's position. Each proposal was carefully crafted. Each offered advantages she could not ignore. Jiwoo rejected them all. Her board called an emergency meeting. They sat around a massive table in the company's headquarters. Old men and women who had worked with her father, who expected her to be practical, to do what was necessary. You must marry, the chairman said. He was 70 years old and had no patience for sentiment. The company needs alliances. Your father understood this. My father built this company from nothing, Jiwoo replied. Her voice was steel. He did not do it through marriage contracts. He did it through hard work and vision. Times have changed. We are competing with alien corporations now. We need every advantage. Then we will find those advantages elsewhere. Another board member leaned forward. This is about the bodyguard, is it not? Kang Minho. We have seen how you look at him. The room went silent. Jiwoo felt her face flush, but she did not look away. Yes, she said simply. It is about him. He is nobody, the chairman said coldly. A soldier turned hired gun. He has no family connections. No wealth, no political value. Marrying him would be disaster. Or it would be exactly what this company needs. They stared at her. Jiwoo stood. Humanity's strength in the galaxy is not our technology or our wealth. It is what Minho showed the entire galaxy. Loyalty, courage, the willingness to sacrifice for others. That is what makes us special. That is what I want this company to represent. Sentiment does not win trade wars. No. But it wins something more important. Respect. She looked at each board member in turn. I am not my father. I will not lead the way he led. Either trust me or replace me. But I will not marry for politics. She walked out of the meeting. Behind her, she heard them arguing. Let them argue. She had made her choice. That night, she found Minho in the training room. He was running drills like always, preparing for threats that might never come. The board wants me to marry, she said without preamble. Minho stopped. He did not turn around. You should. For the company. I rejected all the proposals, now he turned. Why? Because I am in love with someone else. The words hung in the air between them. Minho's expression was unreadable. Your contract ends in 3 weeks, Jiwoo continued. Her heart was pounding. I could release you tonight. You would be free. Free to take the Queen's offer if it still stands. Free to find another job. Free from obligations to me. Is that what you want? No, her voice cracked. I want you to stay. Not as an employee. As my partner. In business and in life. I want to build something new with you. But I cannot ask that. It is not fair. Minho walked toward her slowly. He stopped close enough that she could feel the heat from his skin. Do you know what I thought about when we were dying on that moon? He asked. I thought about all the time we wasted. All the words we did not say because of contracts and obligations and fear. Minho, I have been in love with you since you cried over me in the medical bay, since you held my hand while I was bleeding. Maybe even before that. But I was afraid. Afraid I was not good enough. Afraid you only cared because I saved you. Jiwoo felt tears running down her face. I care because you are you. Because you challenge me and support me and make me want to be better. He touched her face gently. Then yes what? Yes, I will stay. Yes, I will be your partner. Yes to everything. She kissed him then. Finally, after a year of wanting and waiting and pretending, his arms wrapped around her and she felt safe in a way she never had before. When they finally pulled apart, both were crying and laughing. The board will fight this, Jiwoo said. Let them fight. We have faced worse. The announcement caused chaos. Corporate media called it scandal. Some politicians condemned it. Traditional families were outraged. How dare an heiress marry a common soldier? But something unexpected happened. Regular people loved it. Workers who had been overlooked their whole lives saw themselves in Minho. They saw someone who earned respect through actions rather than birth. The story spread across human worlds and beyond. Queen Isara sent a message. It was brief but elegant. Congratulations on choosing love over logic. Perhaps you are wiser than I thought, or perhaps just luckier. She also sent a gift, a lumineth crystal the size of a fist. It glowed with inner light and came with a note. This represents eternal respect. May your love echo through the stars. You have taught an old queen new tricks. For that you have my gratitude and friendship always. The wedding was small, just close friends and family. Minho wore a simple suit. Jiwoo wore a dress that was beautiful but not extravagant. They said their vows in a garden under Earth's sun. When it was done, they were partners in every sense. Jiwoo made Minho co-head of operations at Taejin Corporation. The board protested. She reminded them they could resign if they disagreed. Together, they transformed the company. They valued employees who showed loyalty and courage. They made deals based on fairness rather than exploitation. They refused contracts that benefited only the wealthy. At first, profits dipped. The board panicked. But then something interesting happened. Other species noticed. The Lumineth increased their trade. Smaller alien civilizations that had been ignored by major corporations sought them out. Humans across the galaxy felt pride in a company that represented their values. Within 2 years, Taijin was more profitable than ever. But more importantly, it meant something. It stood for something. 5 years after that first attack on Obsidian Gate, Minho and Jiwoo stood on a balcony overlooking Earth. Below them, the city glowed with life. Above them, stars filled the sky. Somewhere out there, the Lumineth Empire continued its eternal reign. Somewhere, Queen Isara ruled with wisdom gained from watching 2 humans choose love over power. Do you regret it? Jiwoo asked. She leaned against Minho's shoulder. Giving up immortality? A queen's love? Everything you could have had? Minho thought about it seriously. The queen had offered him centuries, power beyond measure, but those centuries would have been empty without Jiwoo. Power meant nothing if he could not share it with her. No regrets, he said. This is exactly where I am supposed to be. Even knowing I will grow old, that we only have a few decades together, especially because of that. The Lumineth have so much time they forget to value it. We humans know every moment is precious. That makes our love stronger. Jiwoo smiled. When did you become a philosopher? I learned from a queen. They stood in comfortable silence. The wind carried sounds from the city. Life continuing. Time moving forward. I heard something interesting today, Jiwoo said. The Galactic Council is considering humanity for a permanent seat. They say we have proven ourselves valuable, that we bring something unique to the table. Because of the company. Because of you. Because you showed the galaxy what humans are capable of. Loyalty, sacrifice, love that transcends logic. She turned to look at him. You changed everything, Minho. You changed me. You changed how aliens see us. We changed it together. Yes, together. That word felt right. Together they had survived assassination attempts. Together they had faced queens and warriors. Together they had built something that mattered. And together they would face whatever came next. A message alert chimed. Jiwoo checked her device and laughed. What is it? The Queen. She is asking if we want to visit Lumina Prime next month. She says she misses debating with you. Minho smiled. His friendship with Isara had endured despite everything. They exchanged messages regularly. She asked for advice on understanding humans. He asked for wisdom on leading. It was strange and unlikely, but it worked. Tell her yes, but we are bringing our team. This is a business trip. Always working, and you married a workaholic. Jiwoo kissed him. I married my best friend. Years continued to pass. They had children, a son with Jiwoo's determination and Minho's courage, a daughter with her mother's brilliance and her father's loyalty. They grew up in a galaxy where humans were respected, where being human meant something. Tajin Corporation became a model for others, proof that doing right could also be profitable. Other companies copied their approach. Human values spread through corporate culture. Slowly, the galaxy changed. Minho never stopped being Jiwoo's protector. Even when they were old and gray, he walked beside her, ready to face any threat. But the threats grew fewer. Respect replaced fear.